This time I have a nice and little and sweet and quiet story for you. Hi, I'm Annie and I am doing this a long ongoing pulp project where I read one pulp story for every year starting in 1890. But it is also a GarbAugust and this month we celebrate pulp fiction. More information about that in the description box below. But as it is August, GarbAugust, I will be concentrating on the decade starting in 1890 till 1900. So today we have arrived in the year 1894 and I've read Narcissa or The Road to Rome by Laura E. Richards. This story was first published in Short Stories magazine January issue of 1894, and the story is about Narcissa, who lives more in her dreams and fantasy than in the real world, which isn't really that surprising as the real world doesn't have much to offer her. So it's quite understandable. So she does housework and she dreams. Sometimes traveling salesmen and saleswomen knock on her door and try to sell her stuff that she can't afford, but they are all very friendly. One of these salesmen is a young man, and he knocks on her door, and the only thing he asks is, how do I get to Rome? Which way do I go? So he asked the way. And Narcissa knows it's not far. She has never been there, but she has this really nice picture of Rome on her wall, and one day she intends to go there. So she directs him to the right road to Rome. And he enjoyed this little conversation with her very much, and he thinks it's really a pity that she didn't get the opportunity to get properly educated. Later on in this story, this lack of education is going to get her into trouble. But this is a nice and quiet story. It meanders along for quite a while, for the most part, I think, in the story, which I didn't mind at all, by the way. There are elaborate descriptions of how things look and how Narcissa lives and such things. There are conversations in it of which I think, where is this going? But in the end, everything ties up really nicely. I enjoyed the story very much. It's clear to me that writer Richards is an advocate advocates with this story for the education of women, especially the education of poor women. And I also consider this story as a call to men to support these women in their effort to enlighten themselves. The second industrial revolution, which was going on at the end of the 19th century, in which this story was written, led to widespread economic growth. But it's also increased gender inequality, as men increasingly held better paying jobs and women's domestic responsibilities remained predominant. This inequality made it difficult for women to access educational opportunities, especially for those that may have been financially expensive. Throughout her life, Richards was recognized as a talented writer and a dedicated advocate of social injustice. Social justice, I must say. She was really an advocate of social justice. Although Narcissa or The Road to Rome by Laura E. Richards isn't about a topic that is very pulpy, it has like I said, has a serious tone to it. It was published in a magazine that also published pulp stories. So I consider this fair game for my long ongoing pulp project. If you like a nice and quiet little story with a serious theme, but isn't heavenly? Well, it is heavenly written, but it isn't heavy written. I don't know if that is the right way to put it, but it isn't really depressing, seriously written, and it is also a nice and quiet little love story as well. Then this is the story for you. It is short, so you can read it in in 10 minutes, well, 20 minutes maybe. I don't know. But this is really a story for you. A link to where you can read this story for free in the description box below. Meanwhile, keep those pulp juices flowing, and I hope to see you in the next video.